I will just go through what I've talked before, overview of yesterday or the overview of the last class. So we talked about HTML. This is just right up. And the key important things I told you about is those angle brackets. Those angle brackets are your friends. You're going to be needing them very well. I'm sure you've been playing around with them. We also talked about kicking off with your very first page. So this is the very first page. This part is supposed to show you how you are going to end up to create your very first page. All this will have the video already. So this is just to, if you want something to read through, to give you to kind of revise, your memory of what it is you're about to do. Then we also talked about how you save your documents. And I'm sure everybody's on this stage at the point where you've created your first document, you've created your first page, and then you've seen how easy it is, and then you've seen the challenge that you are going to face in the future, in the sense of creating more sophisticated designs and what have you. What we are addressing today is HTML head section. HTML head section. Now, if you go through your HTML code that you've written, notice that in a place you have where you have title. I'm going to quickly change to that section now. Notice in this section, this is what we call the head tag. That's line 2. Line 2 to line 4 contains the head tag. Now, the head tag is very sensitive in terms of what it does. It does quite a lot that is not visible to the user. What that means is that what it's doing is more of like containing all the information about the document you are trying to work with. So it has little to do with what the user is seeing. So it's more of like for documentation, keeping the information about the document. That's what the head section comprises of. So let's get to see what is going on in our head section. So let's go back to the presentation we were doing. So here we can see that in our head section, look at the definition of what we have there. Say the head section is a part of an HTML document that contains information about the document. So something that contains information about a document is what they call metadata. The information it contains are something like title, the title of the document, the links that the document make use of, the resources, the script. We're going to be talking about all these jargons later, links, resources. Don't worry, we're going to talk about them later. Then the head section is enclosed by the head tag. That's head and angle bracket and the closure of the tag, and it's not visible in the browser window. The head section, can include all these things I put on the right hand side: the title, the metadata, the link, the style, the base. So we'll go in detail on each of this information as we move ahead. Moving on, we have the title, which is what you've used currently. You've used it in your demo in creating your first page. You made use of it. So this is how it's being used. You saw the head section, and then you saw inside the head tag, you then add the title tag. The title tag is what shows in the browser title what the page is. And what is the fundamental use of this title tag? Apart from the fact that it shows to the user, it's also very important because that's what search engine use to define your page. So if you go to Google, for example, and you search for something, what you are searching for is actually searching through all the title of all the websites created. So if you actually launched your website and you call it my first web page, if someone was searching for my first web page, your site is going to come up. So in essence, this title tag helps search engine to bring out your site when people search for them. That is one of the very first important of the title tag. That's where we will call it a wrap on the presentation that we'll have today before we then move to our coding. So this part is very important, as it is. This document, I will share it with you guys on our Telegram handle. So if you are not yet on the Telegram platform, just go to our bio. You will see the Telegram details there. You can go there and join the community so that you can have access to this document. Okay, that said, let's move to coding and start talking about what we have. So let me show you where we are going to today. So what goes on in the head, there's a video on it on YouTube already. I will just show you access. I will send you guys link to the video so that it will guide your journey, instead of it being in page 2. So it's titled here. That is it here. So I will send it to the group so that everybody can see it. Is what's going on with HTML head elements. We break down all these things I've talked about in the head element. The reason why I'm not taking deep dive into it right now is that you don't need the information right now. I need to show you something else before we get here, but we need to talk about the head section. So that's why I didn't want to skip it, because we are talking about the documents. We're going to be breaking down everything one after the other. So there's a separate video for the head section, because there's a lot of information that goes in the head section, which we will not be looking at. The reason why we will not be looking at it for now is because, number one, you are not sending it to search engine for optimization. Do you understand? You are not uploading your documents now. You are not doing you are not using it at the moment. So the learning of it is not relevant for now. So that's why we're skipping it. But I just want to let you know that it exists, and the video is out there. Okay, so let's look at the focus of today, and that is the structure of HTML. Let me bring it out for you here. So understanding the element, tags, and attributes. So I want to differentiate those terminology, because one thing you will understand here is the fact that you need to grasp the terms that we'll be using. Understanding those terms will help you, will go a long way to getting anything in the system. I will start from the first thing we have here. Each of these things that you saw has open and closing tag. They are called elements. HTML that is in number 1 is called what? Is called HTML element. Number 2 is called head element. Number 3 is called title element. Number 4 is called title element, but the closed version of it. So you can see that all of them are called what? Elements. Very important to know their definition. The H1 is also called what? H1 element. Like that. Like we can go on, keep counting. So what that means is that HTML as a document is made up of what? Elements. Everything is made up of elements. So that fundamental understanding is very good for you to know. Everything is made up of elements. That is number 1. That gives you the sign off from this part, elements. Now let's move to the next thing, because I'm explaining 3 things, and it's very important that I highlight those 3 things. Elements, tags, and attributes. Yeah, so those are the 3 things I'm explaining today. Now, the element, as I've mentioned, is anything. Element is the smallest item, or property of a HTML document. The HTML document is broken into elements. Do you get? And I just explained that each of these things you are seeing here, they are elements. So then so the question is then, what is a tag? A tag is, so notice that this one, let me start again. From line 1 to line 8 is an element, because the parent element is HTML tag, and what is inside it is all these things. So this here is a tag, or is an element. So let me now define an element like this. HTML. Do you see what came up? Both of them. This makes up an element. This makes up another example. So who can give me another example? Another example is what? H1. H1 is what? An element. So then, what is a tag? A tag is also an element, but this time around, tag has a different form, meaning we have the start tag and the ending tag. So the start tag is still an element, but we have start tag and ending tag. So we have start tag, meaning the first entity or the first phrase of an element can be a start tag, then the later part is what? An end tag. So you can say elements are pairs of tags. So you can say elements are pairs of tag. So you can see that in this case now, this HTML tag. So you can call this HTML tag and you can call this HTML tag. So if you want to differentiate it, you will say this is HTML start tag and the other one is HTML end tag. So that's how you separate it. You can say this is H1 start tag and this H2 end tag. So a tag must have a beginning and an end. No tag can just stand on its own like that, So all tag must have start tag and closing tag. Look at the example we have here. Look at the way HTML tag started. It started like this. Then look at how it ended. It ends like this. So you can write somewhere that all tag must have, or all elements must have open tag and close tag. So what makes up of an element is this. It's a pair of tags. Do you get? What makes up a tag is individual tag in an element. I hope that is not confusing and you understand that, because those terminology is very correct. Empty tag you don't attribute open and close tag to empty tag. So there are other tags that don't have close tags. The reason why they don't have close tag is because they don't have content in them. So let me give you an example. Look at the open tag here and look at the close tag. What is inside here is called what? The content of the tag. There are some tags that don't have content and we've not gotten there yet, but because of the definition, I will just bring up an example. Example of that is HR. HR means horizontal line. If you want to draw an horizontal line across your screen, you use HR. If you want to break to a second line, you can use another tag that's called BR to break. There are a couple of tags that don't have what? That don't have closing tag because they don't have content. The reason why you have start tag and open tag is because you want to be able to put something inside of them. If there's no reason for you to put something, if those tags are defined not to hold anything inside of them, then they don't have content. They won't need to have what? Closing tag. Okay, all these tags we have here, they house something. You can see title. Title has what? A content inside of it. You can see head. Head has what? A content inside of it. You can see body. Body has content inside of it. So anything that must have a content must have start tag and end tag. Now, how do we address this tag that is not, we can't do the closing tag? And one of the rule of HTML is that any tag that you open, you must close it. So therefore, to close this tag, you will need to you write it this way. Any tag that does not have a closing tag, you have to close it by force at the end. Any tag that does not have a content or that does not have an end tag, you have to close it immediately you finish writing the tag. So look at this HR now. Immediately I finish writing the tag because HR does not have a content, I just close it immediately. BR also does not have a content because I'm breaking. BR is to break my paragraph, and I'm going to show you an example. Once you are breaking a paragraph, what do? You use BR, and because it doesn't have a content, I then use / to break that. So let's go ahead and do some example and see these guys in use. So we'll power this guy, our preview. Hope you guys have installed your extensions. So because those extensions are going to make your life easy, so you should have those extensions installed. We'll talk about that outside the class, and you guys are supposed to chat me up if you guys are having any issue installing those extensions, so that doing all this will be easy for you guys. Now I'm going to remove all these two things I added. Now I told you that HR is for horizontal line, so immediately I do HR, look at what happened. It draws the line for me. And I just told you that for proper HTML tag, you need to close all tags. And to close this HR tag, because it doesn't have a content, you do like this. This is the best way. This is the way to close your tag. The next tag, I don't want to talk about images now because I've not talked about images. So I'm introducing those tags gradually. There are other tags that does not have closing tag. I don't want to introduce too much tags to you guys so as not to confuse you. So I'm doing those tags that you will need immediately now. And let's move on. We have the next one, which is BR. But before I show you BR, let me show you something. Let me say we have a paragraph tag which you've used. Paragraph tag is to create a paragraph of text grouped together. So I can say hello, and you can see what that does. And if I want to say hello, my name is process guy, and I wanted this to come down instead of this hello, I wanted to put comma that it should come down. You can see what HTML does. HTML does not respect carriage return. I'm sure if you must have tested this yourself, while I gave you the first assignment to do, you will notice that when you press the enter button, the system does not understand your enter button. Unlike when you have your Microsoft Word, when your system will understand your carriage return, this does not understand that. For you to actually do a break, you need to have a command, which is the BR I talked about just now. So you can see what BR does. BR breaks your line. You break this into a new line. That's what BR does. And you can have as many break as you want to give you the kind of space you want in your presentation. And this could go on to give you a more presentable outcome. So this is what we have as regards elements and tags. So if you guys have questions, let me know before I move to the next thing. The next thing I want to move on to is attributes. Let me write that down somewhere. I will write that down here. Attributes gives more information about an element. It tells you what an element is supposed to do. They help you to give more insights into an element. So let's see, how do we do that? So attributes of, let's see how we can use an example of attributes. So for example, this is a tag, which we know, and attributes are always within the opening tag. That's where you have your attributes. Your attributes are captured within your opening tag, or rather your opening tag. So if you want to pass an attribute to a P tag, for example, or P element or paragraph element, you put what you have here, you put a space, then you have your attribute name. The attribute name will come here, and then your value. And the question is, what the heaven is this? Why do I need to be specifying attribute? What does attribute got to do with all these things we're talking about? What the heaven is attribute? I just mentioned what attribute is for. Attribute is supposed to give more insight about the document that you're working on, or about the element you are working on. Is supposed to give more insight about the element. So let's go and play with a real life attribute now and see how it can make our life fun. So let's come here and try to change the body attributes, the attribute of this document, and make the background black, kind of. So there's an attribute called style. And what that style does is that it allows you to change the physical property, of your entire body, because now we're attaching it to this body. So it means we can change the style, the design of this body. That's the purpose of why we're attaching it here. If we attach it to H1, it means we can change the style of only H1. But because we are attaching it to body, we can change the attribute of the entire body. That's the meaning of what this one does. So I'm just going to play around with an attribute of style here. But what follows? Okay, I don't want to show you something yet, but let me change attribute of H1, for example. So there's an attribute called align, and from what it says, align is to change the position of a text. So if I say align and I do center, so you can see what that has transpired to. We've been able to change the default location of the H1 in terms of the alignment from left to center. And that's the power of attributes. Attributes gives you more insights into the element, allows you to manipulate the elements to give it a specific form. And we'll also be using this in CSS, in JavaScript, as time goes on. So you can see the difference between a tag, an element, and attributes. I'll say that again. This is the element, as a whole. This is the body element as a whole, in excluding the content. By the way, this is the element as a whole. So what is in line 7 and line 13 is the body element. Now, what is in 7 alone, right, is this open tag, and what is in 13 is the closing tag. What is inside in front of the body of 7 is called the attribute. Allows you to do some more property changes on the element. So if I want to go more crazy about this, I can decide to change the background of what I'm saying. The background should be black, and I can decide that the color of the text should be white. So this is only possible with what? With attributes. This, and of course with CSS. We've not gotten to CSS yet. So you can see how I'm manipulating the visual appearance of the HTML document using attributes. Attributes allows you to go more than what a physical element can do. That's the work of an attribute. So that's the video. The video is it talks about, it's a part 3 of my video series, right? So, and it's 5 minutes. It's very short. So I don't do long video. Just make it short and explain what it's talking about. So that's understanding elements, tags, and attributes. So it's a very short stuff, and this understanding will help you to start your way through coding, as I've explained. So it will bootstrap your way into knowing what it is you are doing. So when somebody say tag, you know what tag means. If somebody say attribute, have you added that attribute to the tag? You know what that means. If someone say that the start tag, the end tag, all those terminology, because that's what you will be using to reference to whatever you are doing when you are writing your code or you are writing your HTML document. Those are the terminologies that they will be using, and you should be used to them. You should be used to them. Whatever course you are studying, there are terms used. If it's maths, there are terminology that they use and that you should be used to. Another thing again I wanted to mention is your coding. One of the examples that was sent to me was formatting of your code. The way your code is formatted is very, very important. I'm assuming that you are seeing this code like this. This is clean and it's good to look at, compared to when you have something like this. Even though this code will still work, there's nothing wrong with it, right? It will still work. But trust me, this is not clean. This does not look good. I saw someone did this, one of you guys, you did this. So it's not cool like this, right? What I've done is a way for my code to be properly styled. You should make sure that your code is presentable to you yourself, because you will be reading it. So what I've done is for my code to automatically update itself. You can see that the code just reshaped itself. And what helped me to do that is extension. So I asked you guys to install the extension, and you guys said you've installed everything, and that's prettier here. So prettier helps to make your code pretty, just like the word says. I can see you guys subscribing. Thank you for the subscription. So it makes your code looks pretty. Okay, so you are saying code formatter. Yeah, so code formatter allows format your code in a readable format. That's code formatter. So, but I call it's prettier here. So I'm sure if you've not installed it now, the extension is on this left hand side. Click on the extension here, and search for prettier. If you go to the community page under Visual Studio Code, so I showed you, I explained all the code for, you can see I wrote code formatter there. So install the prettier. Once you install the prettier, it will make your code looks like this. It will always look pretty every time. So it also helps for you to be able to read your code. So you can see when I go to start tag for body now, do you see what happened to the closed one? The closed one get highlighted. It makes your life easy. You don't have to struggle. So when you click on head tag, it automatically highlights the closed one. Another thing you need to also understand is making sure that all your tags are properly nested. Making sure your tags are properly nested. So if you do not properly nest your tag very well, you will be in trouble. What is the meaning of properly nested tag? This is what a properly nested tag looks like. Example is this. When you start a tag, you have to close it immediately and put your tag inside. Let me explain what that means. So if you start your tag with HTML, do you see what happens? Immediately you start your tag, it closes by itself. Meaning the document, what will follow is the next tag. So what follows is what? Our head. Immediately I close the head, what happened? It closes itself. It's possible for you to mistakenly go to do this now and start typing title. This is not properly nested because title is supposed to be inside head, not sitting by itself. So you should know the process and the procedure, and that's why we take our time to study each section of the HTML document. So you come here and you put what? You put your title. After the title, you see immediately the close tag comes into play. What follows next is the title of your page. So you should know what comes next after this. What comes next is your body, but it's not sitting inside title. You are done with the head tag. You are done. So the next thing is you come out of the head tag. And where is the outside of the head tag? This is the outside. Where is the outside of the HTML tag? This is the outside of the HTML tag. Nothing goes beyond your HTML tag. Alright? Your body sits in your HTML, inside your body of your HTML. That's where your body sits. So our body will start here. That's where every other thing will sit. So you need to understand what is called nesting. So this is what they call nesting. Our head HTML element has, a nested tag called head and title, like a children tag inside it. It also has body. When body also has something that we're about to write now. So you can have h1 as a header and say header. And you can see the good thing about the preview that I installed. Look at that, you are seeing your result on the right hand side immediately. As you are doing what you are doing, you are viewing your result on the right hand side. So if things are messed up, you're going to see it immediately. If you preview this on your browser now, this is exactly what you're going to see, on the right hand side. So you can go ahead and do your P. Your P is for your paragraph, and you can type your story there. And we've used this opportunity to present two tags, and which are HR, and BR. Those are the two tags we've introduced just now. And you know what BR is? BR is to what? Is to break. And the purpose of breaking is to move to the next line, because you can have a scenario where you want to go to the next line. So you can see that the next line and where I want to put it should be after my column. So I need to do that to give me this. And it's possible that I want to provide more than one BR. Maybe you want to create this double effect, where your next your AHI will happen to show, a bit further. That's what you have. So I'll take question, guys. Do you guys have question? We are still in a very, very early stage of HTML. Okay, the next class is what is going to be interesting. Yes, the next class is going to be an interesting class. because we start dabbling into design, because now all what we have been saying is white and black, all right, and it looks so boring. The next class is going to bring something pretty to the table. Let's see if we can dabble into it a little bit. And then take it up more in our next class. Okay, so our next class is supposed to be lesson 5, right, which I'm gonna handle. And by the way, each of those lessons there, you have exercise. It will be very good for you to do those exercises. It shows that it will show that you understand those lessons very well. For if you guys are not in the Telegram group, kindly join the Telegram group. The link is on my bio, so that you can see all this information. Okay, let me introduce you to lesson 5, because all the things I'm saying here are very basic. Now, lesson 5 is all about what we call style attributes. Remember that I've defined attributes to you guys. I said attributes allows you to give more insights into an element, to kind of bring out more information that the element can handle. So there's a style attribute which is virtually present in 95% of all the tags, or not even maybe all the tags. This style attribute is king. It's available to almost every element. So what this does is that it allows you to change the property of any element, the way it looks. It allows you to do that. And what it allows you to do is such that you can put in any CSS style or properties inside those space that will have those tags there inside here. So it allows you to go and put CSS property. Remember that we are not in CSS yet, but we can start playing with CSS, because CSS is a bunch of rules, style that design your page. It's a more organized way to style your page. We are not there yet. When I mean organized way, because you're gonna see what I mean by organized way now. Because when you do CSS here, it's kind of not clean. Many people see me doing CSS here, they will like wonder, why am I doing it here? Yeah, we're doing it here for the learning purpose. This is not where we intend to be doing it in the future. The purpose of this is to show you that you could add style to your attributes or to your element using the style attribute. Now, I purposely did this like this so that I can properly communicate what I'm about to type. Your style attributes carry what I call properties and what value. So it is very important that you see the way I've written it out, so that you can represent that when you are typing it in your own code editor. Property name, you can call it property name, and their resulting value. So what do I mean by property name? Property name is the name of the property you want to change of the elements. What element are we looking at? We're looking at body element. What property do you want to change? Let's say we want to change the background. So what is the property name of background? What's it called? This is where you will need Visual Studio Code, because it helps you. You can see that immediately I start typing, the editor is so smart that it starts giving me all things that I can ever want to do. And we are gunning for background color, and you can see that background color is coming out. I can change my mind that, in fact, it's font I want to change, because you can as well change the fonts. In fact, the font size, you can do quite a lot. So let's even surprise, let's do font size. Once I do font size, I can then put this my column, right, and specify the number of font size I want, like the size of the font. So I can go ahead and can go crazy and say 30. Notice the number that ends with it. That's like pixels. That's the way to measure the screen size. You have other measurements that we have, but we'll just stick with px. And then I do what? I terminate my property request there. So that is the syntax to write your style attributes. So you can style as many, you can change as many properties that you want of a particular element. So I'm saying this now that all the body, what should be in the body should be changed. Okay, so you say you're unable to set your preview is not working. That's fine. If your preview is not working, I will attend to it at the end of this lesson. So let me just try and see if I can walk you through the preview installation so that you see. Just watch the screen. I want to do something now. You come here and you install live preview. You just come to here and let me close this so that you see how I launch it. So I save what I've done. I right click on this place. Once you right click, you see show preview. It says show preview, so you should be able to see show preview. Once you click on show preview, it shows you the preview right away. So that's all you need to do. Once you install the extension, you come to file, then you right click and you do show preview. It just shows the preview. So anything you change, will just be showing right there. Okay, I'll just move on. So we're talking about the style attributes, and I was trying to make it visible to you guys so that you can see all the changes in its glory. I was doing this semicolon, then I come in here. I can decide to change the font. Like maybe I don't like this font. That's what we call font family. I can change the font to this guy. They have so many fonts. These are the one that the system pick automatically from my system. But if you know the name of the font you are looking for, you can pick the font that you have or that you know. You can even import font online and you can see how the whole thing is changing. This is how they do the magical. This is how they do it. This is the trick involved on all those things you are seeing, beautiful websites and things like that. This is what they are doing. And finally, what do I want to do in the body? Now let's say that's what I want to do in the body and I'm done with the body. Let's say I want to make the background of the whole text. Let's change the background, and I think that's what we wanted to do before. Let's make the background black, and and then we'll make the color of the text, let's make it white. So you can see what is going on. You can see that we are altering the property of the body. We're altering the styling, and that's where CSS come in. We're actually doing CSS now, but I won't want us to go too deep so that we'll have CSS is a whole subject on its own. So I will just introduce you to very few properties, because in CSS you'll be doing a whole lot of advanced stuff. You'll be moving things around, you'll be changing the shapes of an object, you'll be overlaying shapes on top each other, complex things you'll be doing in CSS. But in here it's okay, we can do few CSS, font, background, color, background image, we can do that. But once we get to CSS proper, we will do more advanced stuff, and we will no longer be using style anymore. We'll be using classes and what have you. So just hold your horses, and you can still be using this method for now until you get to CSS. So you can decide and say, okay, I want to come here and change the alignment, because since we are focusing on style, mind you, we are focusing on the style attributes because that's the topic, changing the style attribute. I can say alignment because there's text alignment attributes or text alignment property in a style attribute. Yes, so you can decide, and you can see the options that you have. Immediately you put that value, you can see the option that you have, and you can say you want it to be center. So you need to visualize what you want to do first. You don't just start typing and changing things. It's out of the fact that this is what you want to do, then you start doing them. So I'm going to stop here for today. I'm going to allow you guys to go and watch the video. So the video that you guys are going is just 5 minutes, and you will enjoy it because it gives you a lot of insight. So you can watch video from lesson. Let me go to the lesson. So we've already done lesson 1, we've done lesson 2, we've done lesson 3, we've done lesson 4, we've done lesson 5. So go and watch video 1 to 5 and do the assignments there. Each of them have assignments. Do the assignments. They are going to be fun. If you have any issue in the assignment, send them to me. Let me know. They are very cheap stuff. So because this is way foundation, you shouldn't have issue with them. So if you have issue with them, let me know. I told you guys in the beginning of this class that there are some things you should watch out for, right? This one is to start a tag. As in, let me just bring out the funny, I call them funny characters that you'll be using, because for people not seeing coding before, these things are funny to them, you know. So I'll call this angle bracket, and that's left angle bracket, right? And we have right angle bracket. So if you remember, I said these things are going to be your next best friend, and you have, I guess this is /. So these are the only things I showed you the last time, and I'm sure you start seeing me using funny stuffs. So let me introduce them. So to capture an attribute, right, you need to put the attribute name is equal to and quotes. What do I mean? So let's say we are capturing an attribute of a body. Then you have to put the attribute name. What follows the attribute name is an equal sign, because you want to say this attribute name has something. So what follows it is an equal sign. After the equal sign, you put the value of the attribute inside a quote. Did you see that quote now? This is the quote. So I'll call this quotes, right? We'll be using quotes too. So I'm bringing out all the funny, even though quote is not funny, but I'll just put it here. So we'll call this double, because it's very good that you know all those names. Double quote, right? There is still more that you will see, which I've also introduced. Let's go inside. You will see one now. Do you see this now? This is called single quote. Now we use single quote if we've used double quote outside. I'll repeat that again. We use single quote if we've used double quote outside. Notice that inside this we use double quotes to carry all these guys. If you now start quoting anything here again, it's going to cause an error. So when you've used single quote, or rather once you use double quote outside, whenever you want to quote something inside, you use what? A single quote. The question arises, why are we even using quotes here? The reason is because there's a space in the naming of our fonts. Don't worry about this, we'll get to this one later, but let me define what it is so that it's documented. So we have a single quote. Notice that I put the open out. There's no point putting only one quote, because when you quote anything, you have to close your quote. You don't do one quote and leave it, right? You don't do a single quote and not end the quote. So that's why I'm putting both of them at the same time, even though that can be argued with this, you know, but I purposely put this one because they have different shape. That's why I put them. But your quote does not have different shape. Your quote looks alike, you know. So I call this what? Single quote. This is a very good question. I like that you brought this up. Very, very good. The next thing again that I have is column, and I'll show you where I use that. Column. I think, is this correct? Column. This is called column, and where we use it is in this place. We use it to separate the properties from the value. We use it to separate the properties, that is the CSS property that the body is going to have. We use to separate what? The value. Notice, you will see it everywhere. Just notice now. Notice it now. I want to make it more obvious for you. So I want to create a kind of obvious view. I want to create a kind of obvious view. So do you see that now? So we have column, 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 column. It says that this one is equal to this. That's the column, not really equal to. So we use that column where within the style in making the CSS property visible. So that is column. So we've introduced how many things now? 3 things just now. We have one last one. Semicolon. 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 Where is semicolon used? Semicolon is used to end the property. Notice this. By the time we finish declaring this and we are done, we want to go to the next one. You use what? Semicolon to tell the CSS property that you are done. Take me to the next one. You come here and you write, all the thing you write. You put semicolon at the end to say what? I'm done. You come here, you write all this one, you put semicolon at the end to say what? I'm done. You do that continuously, then you are done. Notice when we have this line 23, the same thing. When we were done in having our text alignment is equal to center, do you see what happened? We say we are done. So text alignment is the name of the property that we want to change, and we want to put the value with column, then we put the value that should be changed to here, and we terminate it by a semicolon. So the new things I will treat this again in the next class, so that if it's causing confusion, don't worry. The good thing about programming is that the more you hear it, the more you understand it. So, and again, you need to practice. So by the time you put your hand, you start typing it, you start understanding those things. So these are the 4 things I've introduced today. The last time I introduced this one to you guys. So the first 3 I've introduced it already. So it's the last one that we have here. Those are the ones that I'm just introducing right now. So I think this should be clear now. So any more questions? You guys that are joining us online for the first time, I would like you guys to follow the host. We have a YouTube page. You can join us. We also have a community where we interact, where we talk, where we chat. We have React, JavaScript. We have so many tools out there for you. You guys could check the link in the bio. It's Process Guide Community. Join the community on Telegram and contribute. Okay, guys, my guys, what's that? Go ahead with your question.
I still see my last work there. Like, is there a way you save and the blank so that it starts another work?
Okay, so let me show you. Let me show you what you are talking about so that you see it. So you said whenever you come to your workspace, it's always blank, or rather, it's always showing you the last one. Obviously, that's the way it works. It should be showing you the last one now, because if it's blank, how then will you be able to continue your work? The assumption is that you are always working, and you pick up from your last project. That's the assumption. So let me end it. Let me close it so that I will do the demo of what you just said. So normally when you run your Visual Studio Code, it's just trying to help you. This is what it says. If you didn't, notice that I closed it properly. I closed everything properly. If I didn't close it properly, it will bring the last thing I worked on. I think, in fact, the last thing I worked on is not even showing here because it's inside queue. This is the last thing I worked on. Let me open it now. This is the last thing I worked on. Right? So what I want to show you something now so you understand what's going on. Let me close it without closing individual thing. Let me just work on it and then do save. Right? And I exit it. I exit Visual Studio Code. Let me bring it up again. So do you see that I brought up this one again? So if you don't want it to be bringing up this one, which for me is fine, because you can just go here to your browser and add more things, because it's the last thing that you're working on that it will bring. But let's close it properly. So if I close it properly now, I close everything. Do you see that I've closed everything? I'm done. I now exit the window. If I try it out again, it will not bring the last work. It will just, do like this and say, yeah, sort yourself out. Do you get? So you can start all over fresh, but I'm sure you don't want to be starting every time. You want to keep working on that one that you're working on. And it's fine if you want to change what you are doing. You can always create new file, because you can say, okay, this is for lesson 1. You can add new file and say, oh, this is lesson 2. Depending on what you are learning at that point, you can keep having those kind of files and track what you are doing. All your files will sit down here, and you can use it to track your activity. So that's what I think. Okay, guys, any more question? People on TikTok, I will address you guys in the next 5 minutes. Thank you for staying to the end. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on bell notification in order to be notified when we release new videos. See you in the next one.